The following content is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.
You're listening to the Everyday Therapy Podcast. I'm JC Rader.
And I'm Julianne Schroeder.
And we're therapists bringing you honest conversations around emotional wellness and self-development.
Inspired by our personal experiences in therapy and because of our clients, we realize therapy has so much to offer both on and off the couch. Listen for tips and tools to navigate all the challenges that life throws your way.
To give us feedback on topics and guests, or for more information on our community events, counseling, or online services, contact us at everydaytherapypodcast.com.
And before we get into today's everyday therapy topic, we want to make sure to shout out to our sponsors. So, sponsor number one today is Lifeology. We have a guest who may be able to sing their praises. Yes?
Whoop. Yes.
Yes. But it's a group counseling practice that is taking over the Metroplex slowly but surely.
Yes,
with the offices
Fort Worth, Newly and Cedar Hill,
Oak Cliff.
Dallas, Park Cities, Oak Cliff, Grand Rapids, Michigan, also Austin, all over.
Yeah, bringing together the best therapists with very creative approaches to helping people work through a variety of issues. Yeah. They really pride themselves on creative solutions to stuck problems.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And they have flexible times, which sometimes it's hard to get to therapy, right? Yeah. So they have late evening appointments, early mornings, and weekends, and a variety of prices as well. So yes. I send all the clients that I can't work with to LifeWorks because I trust them. Lifeology. They changed their name recently.
Yeah.
Both work.
So yes, we are so grateful to have them on a sponsor, somebody that we trust.
Yes, absolutely, because we can't do all the work.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
There's so much growth that can happen if you're open to it. So we're glad that Lifeology is on board, and we want to also share that another way that they approach the problems, creative
Solutions to stuck problems.
Thank you. is through a school called Lifeology Institute for Psychotherapeutic Yoga.
LISPY for short.
Yeah. And JC and I are both and Courtney.
We have all graduated from their yoga teacher training. It's a 200-hour yoga certified by Yoga Teacher Alliance program. But it blends in the neurobiology, the Western psychological aspect of the Eastern yoga world. So you're getting two different aspects. So it's great if you want to teach yoga, or if you want to just kind of learn more about yourself and learn some coping skills, tools.
Yeah.
It's great for therapists.
Yeah, to be able to know how to handle emotional and mental distress, and just to find that overall well-being.
Yeah. So if you've ever thought of doing a yoga teacher program, we highly recommend this one.
Yes. The LISPY school.
Highly enough of them, for sure. So, shall we get started on our topic today?
Yeah.
And introducing our guest.
Hello.
She's a returner.
Yeah.
One of our favorites.
Guess who's back again.
DJ Seaway. We'll get into that later.
In the house.
Yeah. We are promising you a rap original by Courtney Callaway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Courtney Callaway, and she is at WeFixBrains.com Lifeology.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about yourself if our other listeners didn't listen to our last podcast with you.
So I'm an LPC, and I specialize in grief and loss, social anxiety, depression, self-harm, life transitions, relationship issues. I primarily like to work with teens.
Things.
Yeah, I'm not done. I primarily like to work with teens. I am trained in play therapy, and then yoga. I also utilize yoga and EMDR.
Goodness gracious,
What don't you do, girl?
Yes.
Not
I'm like,
couples.
I work with anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah.
So cool. We're so glad to have you here. And
thanks again.
we are talking about feelings today. So Julianne was like, I don't know if other people enjoy this as much as we will.
Right.
but-
Yeah. I feel like we're biased. Like, yeah, come talk to us about your feelings.
Yeah. No, but it's so true that you don't get like this handbook of like how to deal with your feelings when you're little or in high school or in college. It's just like one day you just get it. And I feel like even as an adult, like I still struggle with dealing with my feelings. And I'm a therapist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How to feel the feelings.
This is Feelings for Dummies. That's what this
101.
podcast is called. I don't know if that's true yet, but we'll see.
Well, I hear EQ is like, trending. Yeah.
What is it? Oh,
Emotional intelligence,
Yes.
right? And companies are getting on board with this because, we need to learn to acknowledge our feelings and how to deal with them to be our most successful selves. So,
Absolutely.
So this is trendy. Feelings are trendy.
Yeah. Emotions are so trendy right now. Hashtag feelings. Yeah. So, I don't know if we want to talk about, like, I love the research by Dan Siegel, and he talks about, like, why it's important to feel your feelings, because it's kind of like sometimes I want to eternal sunshine of the spotless mind myself and just not feel something, like totally erase it.
Okay.
Would be so nice, like a breakup.
That would.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to feel that anymore.
Right? Have y'all ever felt that way?
Oh, yeah. I would like to definitely delete some of the dating disasters I've had.
Yes. And that feeling that comes afterwards, or like shame or something that's so hard. But Dan says that it's important to feel feelings because you're experiencing inside of yourself, and that lets you know what is meaningful for yourself.
Okay.
So if you didn't have an emotion to tell you, like you're angry about something or this is joyful, like you wouldn't know what was meaningful to you.
That makes
So
sense.
I love that. And secondly, he talks about that by knowing your emotions are vitality, their passion, their energy for life. So when that is, you're not aware of that, you lack that passion, you lack that vitality, which reminds me of depression.
Yeah.
Like if you're not tapped into that, like vitality, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So if you're so numb, like you can't really experience, and we'll probably go to the challenges in talking about how over experiencing emotions, we don't want to be stuck in that, but there is, as part of being human, humans have feelings, right?
True. We can't,
we can't be like the Stepford wives and experience just
Or robots.
or robots. Yeah. Right. Although, I mean,
sometimes I would like to. Right?
Yeah.
No, and you talked about, maybe you could share a little bit about that spectrum of feeling too much or too little. How do you explain that to clients?
Well, I'll tell clients, so for me personally, being an Enneagram 7, and then, I don't know, just my personality.
Pleasure seeker.
Yes. So I'm all about the positive feelings, and I'm really good at compartmentalizing. So if there's a negative feeling, see, I even use the word negative feeling I don't want to feel, I'm like, ooh, nope, we're just going to put that on the shelf, and then I leave it on the shelf, and I don't go back to the shelf.
It's got dust on it, some cobwebs.
So that's that spectrum of not tapping in enough, and that can manifest in other things. And then I think the other end of the spectrum is my clients that are really big feelers, but they get stuck in the feeling also because they attach a meaning to it, or it kind of maybe goes into like a negative narrative they have, and they'll get stuck and ruminate, and that's a little bit too much tapped in. So it's kind of like we want to be in the middle of feeling and acknowledging and letting the feelings flow through us.
Yeah, and knowing when to go one direction or the other. Too.
Yeah, so I mean, we don't have feelings down perfectly, but they provide a lot of information on what needs to be done.
True.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what Dan Siegel says.
Yeah,
and apparently he knows a thing or two.
Right? Yeah, well, if we're feeling something, our feelings probably trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
So let's ask it, like, what do I need right now?
Yeah.
Or what's going on?
Right. And I love that idea that feelings are so primal. So if you think about like the limbic system, like that's part of our primal brain, right? And that's where the amygdala is. That's where our feelings are. So it is like very involuntary that you have a fear response.
Yeah.
Like that was protective
survival.
back in the day, you know?
Or getting angry.
Yeah. Right. So it is a very primal experience, which is involuntary that you have a feeling, but you can gain control of that feeling eventually if you know how to tap into it. And we'll talk about that a little later on, like how to deal with feelings.
What to do with feelings.
Yeah, I think just knowing, like, and kind of accepting the feeling itself. I like to remind my clients that every feeling is valid, but it's how you react to the feeling that may be appropriate or not appropriate.
Yeah, I wanted to pull up this quote on that note. Although we may not want to admit it, we are responsible for creating all of our emotions. Every thought that we think causes a chemical reaction, and that reaction causes a physical response. And so I guess this, segueing back to the neurobiology and really looking at the function of emotions and then our role in it. I think by now a lot of people know that emotions, if they run their course, they say as far as it being a physical response in our body, that chemical response, 90 seconds.
That's it?
90 seconds, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Thinking
amazing.
it feels like so much longer.
To think about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. But what trips us up is then, like you were saying, we were saying assigning meaning. And I know what you mean by that. So it could be for people are like, what the heck do they mean by assigning meaning? Like, oh, I'm not allowed to feel sad. That means I'm weak. Like I should get over this, etc. Right. And that's what perpetuates that experience of and the physical experiencing of the emotion.
Oh, okay.
So every time, like our thoughts perpetuate. So ideally, if we could be mindful and say, okay, I'm feeling sad, rather than being like, no.
Yeah, like I'm not okay with sadness.
Saying, okay, here comes sadness.
Sadness is a part of being human.
Yeah.
Here it is. I'm going to accept it.
Like the actual physical response time of it going through, because energy is, emotion is energy in motion, is 90 seconds.
Okay.
Like we can all do that.
Yeah. I guess it busts that myth that I feel like a lot of clients have of, well, if I let myself feel it, then I'll feel it forever.
Yeah.
And
or then I'll go crazy.
Yes.
Or whatever it is.
Or it'll overtake me.
Yeah. But it's kind of like a pressurizer in a way is how I see it.
Like an Instapot.
Yeah. An Instapot.
I love my Instapot right now.
We love Instapots.
Yeah.
Courtney.
I love my Instapot.
Yeah. And I hear people are getting hurt. By the pressure.
Oh, I have heard that.
So be careful whenever you're letting your emotions out, but you do have to release the pressure in there.
Or if we keep it in there, the pressure just intensifies.
Right.
And then the food's not good.
Yeah, and it comes out in weird ways.
Yeah.
Like for you, I feel like, and I can speak on mine too, but like you talking about being a 7, kind of the pleasure seeker and avoiding those difficult emotions. Like for you, it seems like you've had a lot of physical issues that it kind of does.
Manifest in other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of my theories is that some of my medical issues are trapped emotions.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Caroline Myss, Anatomy of the Spirit.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, absolutely. Like we can probably link more resources. We'll check that.
I just think about in yoga sometimes, like whenever you're doing a hip opener, and you just start crying, that just having that experience of like something was being held in that location. I don't know if everybody believes that,
that our body houses emotions.
Yeah. That's a part of like emotion is feeling it, like not only in your mind, but like whenever you're having a fear response, right? Like your palms are sweaty and you're tense and like it is in your body.
Yeah, and that's, as far as being able to navigate our emotions, what to do, that tapping into that awareness of how it shows up in our body is the first step.
Yes.
Right. And, I also just want to say rabbit hole this way about like how for women, experiencing emotions tends to be a little bit more acceptable where, guys like, no, right? But that's why men will so often complain of, stomach aches and headaches and have more of that psychosomatic sort of reporting before saying like, oh, I'm actually really stressed.
That also happens in other cultures to where feelings aren't as acceptable, like Eastern cultures, to where it ends up like there's a lot of psychosomatic issues.
Yeah, particularly in the Eastern culture.
Yeah, which I think is so fascinating. Yeah, it's felt in the body too.
Yeah. So it's not made up. It's not all in your head.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's real. Feelings are real.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the first step in kind of like emotions 101, like what do I do with it, is like having that awareness of it.
Yeah.
Being
Starting
in your
to
body.
acknowledge, identifying the feeling, and then I think identifying it in your body.
Because that's like such a good point. So often, like, especially like before I've, kind of learned about this, I wouldn't even know what I was feeling. But I knew I felt something, something was going on.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which I think this sounds silly and very elementary, but having a feelings list, like whether it be like in your journal or on your phone, and to be like, what is actually going on with me?
Mm-hmm. Like increasing that emotional vocabulary.
Yeah, that emotional intelligence.
Yeah. I have clients, I'll have a mood journal, or just like I have them take their emotional temperature throughout the day. So I'll say like, I love it if you could write it down, because I just love journaling. But if you don't want to write it down, just pause ever so often and take your emotional temperature. What are you feeling?
Well, and Dan Siegel does, like, he has a lot of research that he's done that he calls it name it to tame it.
Oh, I like that.
And so there's research, like neurobiological research, that if you are able to name the emotion, shame, anxiety, stress, whatever it is, then there is a chemical that's released in your brain to calm it down.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very important to have that emotional intelligence piece. Yeah. And for me, sometimes I notice in my body that I'm anxious before I even notice it in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and so my body kind of helps me tune into what I'm like mentally feeling. Like, oh, my palms are sweating, my heart's racing, my shoulders are in my ears. That's my cue. Like,
I'm
you're
like
anxious.
walking around like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's so much wisdom in being able to identify, and starting with the body. But yeah, so it's, I would love to read more about, what you were saying, the name it to tame it. But I could just imagine, I guess something that I do know about the brain is that it wants congruence. And so that,
Speak more to that. Yeah.
like to be able to, I guess, when we're talking about congruence and naming feelings, like, okay, I'm experiencing something, but what is it? Right. Okay. And so if I can know what it is and align like my thoughts and what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And sometimes you can't do that.
Yeah.
Too. Like you can't experience like two different emotions at one time, like having that mix. But then it can be like really helpful to kind of know what's going on mentally and emotionally. But I think that's hard for a lot of people, is like having more than one emotion time and incongruent emotions.
Yeah. So you're telling people that, oh, okay, I can feel anxious and secure at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. I can feel angry and happy.
Yeah.
What?
Julianne's like, what?
What? We're not like singular human beings with.
Right.
Yeah, it's not black and white.
It's not linear, right? Yeah. And that can be super confusing.
Yeah.
I feel like for our minds.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because, I mean, also when we talk about conditioning and, what we've been taught is okay or not okay, right? And I guess to me, like, we can't be angry and happy. That was something that I think about what I interpreted in my household.
Like from your family of origin. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I just thinking about an example of that, because as you were saying, I was like, well, can you feel two emotions at once? Like, what's an example? I'm thinking about someone who was having sex. And so they had an orgasm. So that was a pleasurable, a joyful, kind of that ecstatic experience. But there also was some pain or some fear along with it. So like a very concrete example of like feeling two things at once.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I don't know, like, like the neurobiology, can we feel two, emotions at the same time, but experiencing, like giving ourselves permission.
Yeah,
right?
to have a range.
Like a range of emotions tied with an experience.
Yeah, because I think of some of my grief clients who will experience a lot of pain, but then depending on the loss, there might also be a little relief there. Yeah. And so it's really interesting to have the two of, I'm so sad this person's gone, but I'm also relieved they're not in pain, and just like allowing that you can feel both of those.
Grief is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that, I feel like there's so much.
It's just like all of the feelings.
Yeah. And I don't know about with you, Court. We did another podcast together about grief and talking about her, dad's death. And that's like the biggest emotion I've ever had of like joy and also like this like a loss, this fear, this anger.
No, definitely. Same for me.
Like so much. And it does make me think of like getting into the gifts of emotions of like looking at that experience, like it would be really easy to be like, I wish my dad was here. I wish
it's unfair.
that I never experienced this like difficult emotion or had to go through that. But I felt like I got so much from that experience.
Yeah.
Like I learned so much about myself and have so much gratitude and everything that came from that.
And like with the pain, I think the gift is healing.
Yeah.
The opposite side of pain.
Yeah. Should we talk about gifts?
Yeah.
Feelings? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So with feelings, like we were talking about earlier, I feel like it's helpful to look at, even with those difficult emotions that you're talking about, that you do have like this gift tied to a feeling. And so with certain feelings like pain, the gift would be healing. Like if you go through the pain, if you walk through the pain, then you are eventually healed from it.
Yes.
For fear, it's wisdom is on the other side. Like you gain some type of knowledge, there's protection, preservation, like you're preserving yourself from it. Anger,
strength.
Yeah.
I think
it's
of like,
protective.
Protective, you learn assertiveness.
Setting boundaries with people. Like whenever I'm angry, I know that I need to set a boundary with somebody.
It tells us what's okay and what's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it propels us to take action.
True.
Yeah. To do something about it.
Typically.
Yeah.
Unless we hold it in and it turns into resentment.
Exactly.
Right. Which that is the worst feeling to me, is resentment.
Yes.
I struggle with that.
And there's a quote I use sometimes with clients. It's like, it goes, resentment is like drinking a poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Ooh.
I know.
That is deep. Say it again.
Resentment is like drinking a poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Why would we do that to ourselves?
I don't know.
Well, because I think anger isn't socially acceptable for women to express sometimes.
Especially women.
Right. And so we're not always taught that it's okay.
Yeah.
That in relationships, we don't have to put up with everything.
Yeah.
Or people are afraid of, I think with any sort of emotion, of what happens if I let myself feel it and go out of control.
Yeah.
Right. So that we can arrive at the gifts of the feelings and know how to manage them. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes with like that idea of like actually allowing myself to feel, like it's hard to get to that gift.
Yeah.
But like eventually you can get there, and like knowing that that's there, because I think that you have to have the acceptance of like this feeling is like I'm supposed to get something from it, and then
like a non-judgmental, just looking at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like mindfulness in a way.
Sometimes though, it's so hard to be like, well, I know I'm going to get something from this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the moment.
I feel my clients are like, "Shut up, JC."
Yeah.
I'm like,
hear that.
feel the feelings, and they're like, I hate you.
Yeah. Because it can be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what therapy does is, there's this ability to, what we always say, sit with the feelings, literally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And allow them to happen, and also like learn how we can manage them, right? And I don't, know if we want to go into some of that.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I do want to say, like as we are going into that, is talking about thoughts and how they impact your feelings. I do think behaviors also impact your feelings.
Yes.
Right? And so, so the way that you're thinking, like about emotions, like how you grew up about emotions. I know you were saying earlier about like what your family
Yes.
thought, like what they allowed you to feel. Like you can't feel angry, or you can.
Yeah. I think that's where we might learn some of our meta emotions, our feelings about our feelings.
Yeah.
Because I know for me personally, anger is one that I think I internalized as it's not okay to feel that growing up. And so it's one where I'll usually just try, I'm still working on it, but stuff it more than just have a conversation about it. And that was definitely something that I took from family of origin.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, joy is a good one, or happiness, is the good feeling that you can experience. That one. But also with thoughts of, like having that thought of, like, nobody's ever going to like me, or whatever the thought is, and, like, playing that over and over in your head.
Oh, yeah. Like I was saying, the narrative, or I think our, like, core beliefs can come in, whether that's, like, I'm not good enough, or I'm unlovable, or it's not okay to feel. And so sometimes that feeling is linked to that core belief, or we feel it and we just put a like token in that narrative, like that goes back to that narrative of I'm just unlovable.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like you can't like totally change your feelings, but you can like add to it by your thoughts or make it worse. And then thinking about like behaviors, how that adds to feelings is like nobody likes me. I keep using that one. Maybe that's coming up for me right now. Nobody likes me, and so then I'm not like social.
Yeah, then I don't go out, or I cancel on everyone.
Yeah, and like that can like add to depression versus like another behavior would be like putting yourself in social situations, and that changes that feeling of like loneliness or whatever it is coming up for you. So you can use like certain behaviors to go against the feeling, like act the opposite of what you're feeling. Doesn't always work, but
fake it till you make it, though.
Right?
Yeah.
What were you thinking of whenever you said that? That just popped up for me, of like asking about kind of like how to deal with feelings.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, thinking of different ways that you can do that, and maybe also thinking about how, of course, Dan was saying, and we acknowledge that being able to share and to connect with others is a like ultimate source of healing, and so talking and acknowledging your feelings with others is important. But then I also get too that sometimes you just don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Right.
It's super vulnerable.
Yeah, but can you process your emotion in a different way?
Okay.
So, Courtney, you work with kids. They can process their emotion through play.
Yes. Yeah.
Yoga. Right.
Moving, using the body.
Music.
Journaling.
Gardening. Getting outside.
Yeah, kind of finding
Journaling.
what that is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, I think we need to understand that we can handle, and not that we can escape emotion, but be able to, just not be so overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, definitely. Like having confidence in yourself that you are resilient, you're going to make it through it. It's not going to kill you.
This too shall pass.
Yeah. And I tell my clients a lot that emotions are in motion. I do a little dance. And so they do ebb and flow, because I think some people get really scared of that. I am going to get stuck in this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so they don't want to tap in.
That fits 100%.
Yeah. But they do ebb and flow. And then you point out, 1 minute you can have a very intense feeling, and then maybe an hour later you are calm.
It changes
Yeah. It's changing all the time, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. That always catches me off guard. I was just feeling this way, and now I'm totally
Now I'm
the
way
opposite.
over there.
Am I bipolar?
Yes.
Yep.
No, you
And
are
no, you are
a
not.
human with feelings that are fleeting at
Yeah.
times. No, you are not bipolar.
Oh, and I was going to add another way or something that I give my clients to do like on their own if they have a big feeling. It's a visualization. And so the first step is identifying the feeling, like we've talked about, identifying it in the body, and then just breathing into that space. And then I ask them to give the
You're
feeling.
staying with it. You're accepting it,
Yes.
and you're being with the feeling rather than trying to avoid it or run from it.
Yes. And then I ask them to give the feeling a shape and a color, which just kind of makes it a little more tangible. And then we
Yeah.
breathe into that. And then they eventually imagine breathing it up and out or through their
Okay.
body.
It gives you like a little exploratory tool to
Yeah.
really be with it and kind of externalize it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like what does it look like? Sometimes I'll do that with clients or myself and be like kind of like a cartoon character.
Okay. Yeah.
What would it look like if it was a character?
Okay.
Oh,
I
that's
like it.
fun. That's creative.
Yeah, what would it
like
say?
the feeling? Okay.
Yeah, what would the feeling say?
Yeah.
What accent would it have? Or like tone of voice and
Do you have one off the top of your head?
Yeah,
For
let's
you?
see.
Like your own character?
I haven't done this in a while for myself. I'm thinking of like maybe fear, so anxiety. Now I feel like anxiety, I've like gotten used to it, so I know I can tolerate it. So it still
Okay.
like comes up for me, but it's like I feel like confident I can handle it, right? So anxiety,
Or maybe it's when your client gave you a character.
yeah. So maybe like anxiety would be like a little marshmallow character. And
Okay.
We're going.
I don't
okay.
know. It would have like a trolley type voice, like kind of
Okay.
ugly, you know, because
Yeah.
like the feeling's difficult. It's hard.
hard
But it
to
makes it like
grab a
kind
hold
of
of.
fun,
Oh, squishy.
right? And not as like serious
Yeah.
as like sometimes pain can be.
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
like that idea.
What would yours be, Courtney?
Oh, I don't know. I've never done this before. Let's see.
What would be like a difficult emotion you can?
It would probably be
Something like that.
anger.
Okay.
Let's see if it was a little character. I feel like I'm envisioning just this little like red ball, but he's like got little arms and legs, and he's like, and I don't
I
know.
can see it like Pac-Man style.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
trying to think of the accent. I don't know. I can't.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, yeah, it's something
harsh.
like, yeah, not nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Julianne?
Oh. Okay. What feeling should I make a character for?
Loneliness, maybe?
Oh,
we want to
dang.
talk about that?
No, I actually don't want to talk or feel that.
No, don't put that
It's
out.
such a hard one. Oh my gosh.
Loneliness. Well, I think of is it Inside Out?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
love that movie.
Yeah. So I just think of this.
That's
sad,
a resource.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I'm so glad that they made that. And adults should watch that too.
Absolutely. Like, I think it's Pixar animated film about feelings.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so much wisdom in there. Now I'm inspired to rewatch it. But okay, so I'm thinking like a blue blob.
Okay.
I just get sad even thinking about this lonely little character. Yeah, like very just blobby,
Blobby, what kind of voice? Is it like soft and sad?
soft and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Big tears.
I feel like that kind of gives you space, like just thinking about self-compassion.
Yeah.
Like that's so big for
I
us.
want to hold the blue blob.
Yeah, to like care for the
that
feeling.
was in one of the articles you sent out of treating our emotions almost like babies.
Yeah.
And like if they're screaming or crying out to you, they need something. So like bringing them close and attending to them, self-soothing or asking them what they need.
Yeah. And oftentimes, if we are experiencing emotions, there is a need behind it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can't ask for it or even have awareness of what it is. So, yeah, I feel like taking some space and time. Like you said earlier, Julianne, you know, maybe you don't need to talk about it, although, like, there is research with, like, connecting on emotions can be, like, so helpful. But, yeah, whether it be yoga or... I love journaling. That's
Yeah.
a big one for me.
Yeah, I like journaling or drawing.
And I recommend that to like all my clients.
Yeah. And to tie in, I think a really beautiful journaling prompt, which I've done with my clients, is to look at what you're saying, like the judgment towards emotions and where did that come from?
Yeah.
You know? So, okay. And, you know, maybe even list out what are the okay feelings? What are the uncomfortable feelings? Like, and can I see, like, can I move towards experiencing the uncomfortable for a little bit?
Okay.
Right. And
Yeah.
kind of just dip the toe in. Right. Like without having to submerge.
Yeah, like leaning
Yeah.
in a little.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think there's something about just like dumping it out of your brain and like seeing it,
Yeah.
you know, that you
Oh, yeah.
can.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah. And well, and you think about it too, like journaling in some ways feels a little bit more controlled and contained to the
Yeah.
paper.
For sure.
Right. So I think that's an like excellent way. And you know, and I think I may be muddying the waters, but this is something that I get from clients of, you know, like they want to fix the emotion. And here we are talking about ways to manage, but like, how do you know, right? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
like when to feel and when not to feel.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd be curious what you share with others.
Yeah, for sure. I have my clients kind of decide that on their own. Like I just did this exercise with a client recently because they were really scared to feel like depression or sadness. They were scared that the sadness would turn into depression. And so I had them make a list, like what does it look like behaviorally, thoughts, emotion, like what does that look like for you to like feel sadness and be in the feeling, and then what does it feel like to go too far? So letting them kind of decide, it being an individual process.
What's okay or not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For them. What about you guys?
No, I usually do the same thing. If I'm working with a client on tapping in, like I just go back to grief because I have so many grief clients, to tapping into that feeling, we come up with kind of ways to tap in, and it's usually journaling, and then they can decide when they've reached like a threshold. But they're supposed to be intentional when they are tapping in to really sit with it.
Yeah. I mean, that could be with any feeling.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. I feel like if it's hindering your functioning, like you can't stop crying or go to work, like that would definitely be an indicator that like maybe you need to tap out.
Yeah.
And like a tool for that would be like distraction.
Yeah. Distraction usually works best.
Yeah. What about for you?
Yeah, I think on a concrete measure, which is helpful for my clients to think about, okay, if I am constantly living at a 7 or above, and on a scale of 1 to 10 in that emotion, like you're saying, and it's impacting me being able to make it through the day, then okay,
We
like
need to
scale it back, right? So that's kind of what I use.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. Kind of be able to put it on a Likert scale and see from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have we convinced people that feeling is important yet?
Yeah, it is. You can't bird box that shit, which is what I've been saying lately. You can't put the blindfolds on.
Yeah, all the time at least.
Yeah, not all the time. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, bringing research into it and Brene Brown, because I love both of those things,
gosh,
right?
yes.
I mean, we have to feel, because right now in our society, we're the most addicted, you know, and to any sort of numbing behaviors, right?
Okay.
Like working, sex, food,
And that's avoiding emotion.
substance, right? So that's proof.
Social media.
That is proof that people aren't handling their emotions.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think of, Julian, what you asked earlier, like, how do you know whether to, like, how to move forward with the feeling of if it's too much or, you know, not enough or whatever. Like, I like to kind of take a pause, you know, anytime, name it and tame it, and then decide, like, is this something that I need to accept?
Oh, yeah.
Or is this something I have control over?
Okay.
And like that decides like what trajectory, like do I need to problem solve or do I need to like have acceptance of the situation?
Okay.
Like, this is just a human experience.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's so helpful for me because sometimes you don't have control of
No.
like grief,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then anger, that's one that like maybe you need to set a boundary or do something
Yes.
about it.
Or how you express it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I was telling you that story of that little. I work with littles too, and it was
Kids.
Yes,
That is.
littles. Sorry, that's what littles are. Like 5 and under. And I had one that was struggling with getting frustrated at school, and they would tell me, I get mad when my friends won't play with me, and we've been talking on, okay, well, how are you going to respond to that? Because what they had been doing is then kicking, hitting, attacking said friend, and so we've been working on. So it's okay to be angry, and that is something that's frustrating when they won't play with you, but can we do a breathing technique? Can we go to the calm down center in the room? Can you talk to the teacher about it? And so I think it goes back to kind of what you were saying too, of how we process it. That's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just think about the brain, going back to the brain and how sometimes we are flooded with, I like that term, flooded with emotions.
Yeah.
And that does take a certain amount of time to be in a more rational place to where you can use executive functioning to decide okay, how do I handle this situation? Yeah. But sometimes it's not if you're hitting somebody, that's not an appropriate time and action to do.
True.
So yeah, I love
So
that
feelings,
little girl.
Yeah, allow us to exist in society.
So, yeah. Sometimes I have tantrums too.
Yeah.
I still get that little
So
girl.
we're not all in timeout.
Yeah.
Just want to pop. No.
Yeah. I have my own tantrums, my adult tantrums.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Okay, so we have to sell people on this idea that, asking the question, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Is actually okay.
Right.
True.
Yeah. So hopefully, with the points that we've made, that people are on board. And if they're not on board yet, maybe they will be after hearing your rap. Yes, you knew it was coming.
Can we get a beat, Ziggy?
No. Oh, this will be interesting. I've never...
What feeling are you experiencing right now, Courtney?
Feeling anxious.
And how can...
What do you feel in your body?
I feel it right here.
In your chest?
In your chest.
Feel it right here. No.
In your throat?
Yeah.
And how can anxiety be a gift?
Well, I guess I can learn to be brave.
Yeah.
Get out of my comfort zone.
And being a little nervous
It's going to give
that
me
you
wisdom
care.
after the fact.
Do you want something slow, upbeat?
I think
up tempo.
I think probably slower since I've never done this with the beat.
And we can't hear the beat, just so people know that.
Oh, we can't hear the
No.
beat?
Unless we want to, yeah.
Okay, but it's on. The beat is on.
Wait, how can I tell then?
Well, see, we're about to get some headphones delivered.
Oh, okay.
So you're
That
going to
makes
be,
sense.
yeah. So we're just building the
Ziggy's gonna
anticipation
hook us up.
for Seaways.
Thank you. It's a
DJ
very
Seaway.
short
One and
rap.
only
I feel like
original on.
We're really amping this up.
Yeah.
Do you know how to make these a little tinier?
No.
That's okay.
You only have them on for a minute.
Okay.
So let's hear it. Boom. Chicka, chicka.
I don't have the beat yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. She's ready.
Okay. DJ Seaway in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, yo, check my flow. Feelings are our friends when they holler at you. Say, hey, man, what's up? Where you been? Oh, yeah, because once we start to emotionally check in, we let the process begin. I'm talking about feeling, dealing, healing. You heard? Because that's how we start to feel our feelings. Word.
Oh!
Not on the beat, but that's okay.
Word. Oh, my gosh.
That was amazing.
You get some major props for
Courtney.
doing that. Yes.
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 Oh,
Next,
real.
you'll be the next Eminem.
No.
Seriously.
DJ
But with a
Seaway.
positive impact on the world.
Yeah.
Should we talk about our last sponsor?
Yes, absolutely. So we want to make sure that we give a shout out to Therapy Space, who has been so loyal to us and who provides an awesome service that allows mental health professionals to get not locked in, but flexible plans with these offices that they hold. So, it's really helpful to therapists when there's so much starting off, or seasoned professionals that are wanting to scale back.
That don't want all the responsibility. They take care of all the coffee, paper, waiting room,
Furniture,
and they have amazing
furniture.
furniture.
Yeah.
I want them to decorate my house.
No, I've seen photos. I'm like,
Yeah, it's super contemporary
Yeah.
and beautiful. So it's just a nice space, very zen.
Very sad, which is so important, so they can feel and heal, right?
Yes. Feel, deal,
heal.
and heal.
Yes. So thank you, Therapy Space. If there are any professionals in the Dallas and or Nashville area listening that wants to pursue this option, if you
And Newly, Michigan, Ziggy said.
in
Yeah.
Michigan,
Michigan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. If they hear about this, then if they hear from us, Everyday Therapy Podcast, then they will get 1 month free, which is really cool. So yeah, check them out. And yeah, should we talk about some resources that would be helpful for people if they want to learn more about this, like why it's important to feel and how to feel? Because sometimes it can feel overwhelming, like on your own, like, and you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Like that's why we have this therapy podcast, but we really believe in therapy,
Right.
As a whole. So I definitely think Lifeology, where you're at, Courtney, would be a great resource for people.
Definitely. Yeah, our rates right now are all the way as low as $35 a session.
I saw that recently,
Yes.
which is crazy for therapy.
Yeah,
Like that's
our
so
master level
crazy.
interns, and then they go all the way up to I think like 145 or something. So there's a wide range there.
Yeah, so if you've ever wanted to check therapy out, like this would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
And then another great resource would be the book by Dan Siegel, The Healing Power of Emotion.
Yeah.
Which is just a good one with the research and also like tips and tools in it too. And I don't know if we all want to give like little resources like that on our own.
Yeah, I was like, nothing. I mean, I really like that article you sent out.
Yeah.
Was that by Cheryl?
Cheryl Paul. So she has a bunch of e-courses online and all of her e-courses, there's an aspect of how to feel.
Yeah,
in
no, I
there.
really liked that one. And I
Yeah.
liked the psychoeducation for the parents too.
Yes.
It talked a lot about.
Yeah. A lot of times whenever I think about feelings like we talked about earlier, I think about parenting a kid, you know, and I feel like that's so helpful. Like, what would you do for your child? You wouldn't yell at them. Like, don't yell or don't be upset. It's like, what's going on behind that anger? What need do they have? Are they sensitive or whatever it is? But something that I would like to offer would be some journal prompts to just think about for yourself. So what is the feeling trying to tell you? What's important about it? Going back to that meaning. How can it help you grow or learn, develop new skills and strengths? How can it help you connect with others? What does it show you about your values? Like, how can it help you identify your values? And I love, we recently spoke with Susie Baptiste, the owner of Poopery. And she said, if you aren't appreciative of the feeling or the experience, you haven't fully healed from it.
Wow. Okay.
And I love that.
Yeah. That's on point.
Yeah. Yeah. So think about how many situations there are that, there's still like this reminiscent of like ugly, you know?
Yeah.
There's still more to deal with.
Yeah, and appreciation doesn't mean that you have to endorse that what is okay or like what happened was okay.
Condone it.
Right, like, and
What
then
happens.
especially thinking about in terms of abuse, right?
Yeah.
No, but can you then, I guess in those situations, appreciation for like what you learned and how you're growing.
The strength that you
Yeah.
developed
Resilience.
from any situation, really.
Yeah.
So,
But no, I'm glad you mentioned Susie. I thought it was just so beautiful that the way she was comfortable in expressing emotion, right? And to say, okay, here I am, like all of me, and look, like just because I'm crying doesn't mean that I can't function. Like, because here I have a $400 million company, right?
Yes, yeah, we saw her speak recently, and she teared up and got emotional. It was a really meaningful experience for her, and it was just so powerful to see somebody express their emotions so deeply in front of such a public audience.
Yeah, major respect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, let's hope that everybody wants to feel their feels now.
Yeah. Feel the feelings. Feelings are our friends. If
They
they
are.
holler at you, say, hey man, what's up? Where you been? Or do I just do the whole thing? No.
And we'll let you know when Courtney gets signed. But also, know that we're here at White Rock Counseling, and Courtney Callaway will put her information in if you need a little more help navigating these feelings.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everyday Therapy Podcast. Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes and share with your friends. It really helps us reach more people.
We might only record once a week, but we're with you every day.
Thank you.